The galaxy was old. Older than stars. Older than memory. Empires had risen, ruled, and vanished into cosmic dust. The Galactic Concord ruled now, a council of ancient species who believed they understood everything worth knowing. They watched the universe like tired gods, bored and certain of their own superiority. And then humanity appeared. They came from a yellow star on the edge of nowhere. One small world. One fragile species. No ancient ruins. No psychic gifts. No biological perfection. Just loud radio signals, crude ships, and endless curiosity. The galaxy laughed. On the grand chamber of the Concord, representatives floated, crawled, shimmered, and towered in silence as the newest species was discussed. They burn fossil fuels, hissed Ambassador Carrot H of the Valari, his insectoid mandibles clicking in amusement. On their own planet. A ripple of mocking sounds filled the chamber. They still argue among themselves, said Archon Selm of the Aurelian mind, a glowing being of energy and thought. They cannot even agree on one government. They have no unified fleet, added High Admiral Threx of the Koth Dominion, his scaled tail coiling with disdain. Their strongest weapons are primitive kinetics and fission. At the center of the chamber, the presiding voice of the Concord spoke. Then humanity is categorized as Tier 6. Non-threat. Observation only. The decision passed without a single objection. On Earth, humanity celebrated first contact. They did not hear the laughter. The first human ambassador to the Concord was Elena Vasquez. She stood alone on the platform wearing a simple dark uniform. No weapons. No armor. Just a small blue pin of Earth on her chest. Around her loomed beings that could crush tanks, melt minds, or live forever. She smiled anyway. "We come in peace," she said clearly. "And with respect." The chamber echoed with silence. Then laughter. Not cruel. Not angry. Just dismissive. "You are welcome to trade," said Archon Selm. "Minor resources. Information. Nothing more." "We ask for recognition as equals," Elena replied. Threx laughed openly. "Equal to us? You barely survived your own Cold War." Elena's smile did not fade. "We survived it," she said. That answer was noted, and ignored. Humanity was given access to minor trade lanes, outdated star charts, and second-hand technology. Enough to keep them busy. Not enough to matter. That was the galaxy's first mistake. Human engineers studied alien drives and did not try to copy them. They asked why they worked. Human scientists noticed weaknesses aliens had accepted as limitations. Heat loss. Predictable energy curves. Reliance on centralized AI cores. Human generals read alien battle doctrines and smiled. "They fight like gods," one general said quietly. "Which means they've forgotten how to fight like animals," another replied. On Earth, hidden beneath oceans, mountains, and moons, humanity prepared. They did not build bigger ships. They built smarter ones. The first war involving humanity was not declared against them. It was declared near them. The Koth Dominion, confident and bored, invaded a minor species 2 systems from Earth. The Concord allowed it. Such things were normal. Koth fleets darkened the stars. Cities burned. Refugees fled. Human ships watched from the edge of the system. Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the human cruiser Resolute. "Orders?" asked Captain Ramon. Elena closed her eyes for a moment. Then she said, "Evacuate civilians. Jam Koth sensors. Do not engage." "But Ambassador." "We are not ready to show our hand," she said softly. Human ships moved like ghosts. They saved millions without firing a single shot. The Koth noticed, and were annoyed. High Admiral Threx slammed his claw into the war table. "These humans interfere without permission," he snarled. "Teach them their place." A punitive fleet was dispatched. Only 5 ships. It was more than enough, or so the Koth believed. The human ships did not meet them in open space. They waited near a dead moon. When the Koth fleet arrived, human vessels vanished from sensors. Then space screamed. Kinetic slugs struck at near-light speed. Not aimed at hulls, aimed at engines. Power relays. Command bridges. 3 Koth ships went dark instantly. The remaining 2 tried to retreat. They never made it. The entire battle lasted 9 seconds. No human ship was lost. The galaxy noticed. In the Concord chamber, silence replaced laughter. "Was this an accident?" asked one elder species. "No," said Archon Selm slowly. "It was controlled." High Admiral Threx's voice shook with fury. "They are predators," he said. "They hid their strength." Elena Vasquez was summoned again. This time the chamber felt different. "You violated protocol," the presiding voice said. Elena met their gaze. "We defended civilians," she replied. "And we sent a message." "What message?" Selma asked. Elena leaned forward slightly. "That humanity will not stay small just because you prefer it that way." The galaxy did not laugh anymore. Far beyond the Concorde, human shipyards accelerated production. Fleets were reorganized. New doctrines finalized. Humanity had been underestimated. And now, the galaxy would learn what that truly meant. The Concorde called it an incident. To the Koth Dominion, it was a humiliation burned into memory. To humanity it was a test, one that proved their theories were correct. In the weeks after the 9-second battle, the galaxy shifted its posture. Trade routes near human space were quietly redirected. Observation probes multiplied. Ancient species that had ignored Earth for decades now watched it with renewed interest. Humanity felt the pressure. On Earth, the United Terran Council met in a secure chamber buried beneath the Alps. Representatives from former rival nations sat side by side, faces lit by holograms of alien fleets and political models. General Amina Rao spoke first. "They are afraid," she said calmly. "But they don't know how afraid they should be." A murmur ran through the chamber. Admiral Lucas Chen brought up a rotating image of a Koth battleship. "Alien warships are powerful but rigid. They rely on doctrine written thousands of years ago. And their politics are even worse," added Minister Okoye. "The Concorde values stability above justice. They tolerate brutality as long as it's predictable." Elena Vasquez stood near the back, arms folded. "Then we must become unpredictable," she said. Every head turned. "We don't threaten the Concorde directly," Elena continued. "We make ourselves essential, useful, impossible to ignore." "How?" someone asked. Elena smiled thinly. "We solve problems no one else wants to touch." The opportunity came sooner than expected. The Trelli Ascendancy, a proud avian species, controlled a vital hyperlane nexus. Their worlds were rich, their fleets elegant, and their defenses outdated. The Virex swarm came without warning. Living ships poured from subspace like a tide of teeth and shadow. The Trelli screamed for help. The Concorde debated. As always, procedure slowed response. Humanity did not wait. 3 Terran task forces jumped directly into the Nexus. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Ramon stared at the tactical display. "Enemy numbers exceed projections by 400%, he said. Elena nodded. "Good. That means they're confident." The Virex swarm reacted instantly, redirecting bioships toward the newcomers. "Activate phase nets," Ramon ordered. Space twisted. Human ships did something no alien vessel had ever done. They broke formation. Instead of rigid lines, Terran ships scattered, weaving unpredictably. Phase nets activated, localized distortions that confused organic sensors and disrupted swarm coordination. Human weapons fired in short, brutal bursts. Not to destroy entire ships. To cripple. The Virex began colliding with each other. The Trelli watched in disbelief as the swarm unraveled. Within hours, the Nexus was secure. Humanity transmitted one message. Assistance complete. No territory claimed. The galaxy reeled. "They intervened without permission," snarled a Concorde elder. "And saved 3 core systems," another replied quietly. Archonselm's energy form flickered. "They are not conquerors. They are strategists." High Admiral Threx was silent. On the Trelli homeworld, golden skies burned with sunset as Elena Vasquez stood before the ascendant choir. Feathered leaders bowed low. "We owe you our survival," their speaker said. "What does humanity demand?" Elena shook her head. "Nothing." The Trelli gasped. "Nothing?" the speaker repeated. "Just friendship," Elena said. "An honest trade." The Trelli Ascendancy joined humanity within the hour. The Concorde had never seen such a thing happen so fast. Behind the scenes, human intelligence worked relentlessly. They studied alien psychology, political fractures, economic dependencies. They learned that the Aurelian mind feared chaos above all. They learned the Koth Dominion relied on intimidation, not resilience. They learned the Concorde was held together by fear of change. And humans understood change better than any species alive. The first real retaliation came quietly. Human colonies along the Perseus Fringe began suffering accidents. Supply ships vanished. Communications failed. No one claimed responsibility, but everyone knew. In the darkness of interstellar space, a Terran stealth vessel followed a Koth raiding flotilla. Its commander, Lieutenant Mara Ionescu, watched data scroll across her console. "They think we don't see them," she whispered. "Permission to engage?" her weapons officer asked. Mara paused. Then she said, "No survivors. But make it educational." The Terran ship struck from behind a collapsing star's radiation shadow. EMP lances fried systems. Boarding pods breached hulls. Human soldiers moved fast and silent through alien corridors. No shouting. No mercy. They planted beacons on every captured ship. Then they left. The flotilla drifted powerless. Moments later, Concord observers arrived, summoned by the beacons. They found the Koth ships intact and helpless. Carved into one bulkhead in clean, simple letters was a human message. "We see everything." In the Concord chamber, panic finally surfaced. "They are escalating," an elder hissed. "No," Archon Selm corrected slowly. "They are educating." High Admiral Threx's voice cracked. "What do they want?" Elena Vasquez appeared once more before the chamber. She looked tired now. Older. "We want what every thinking species wants," she said. "Security. Dignity. A future." "And if we deny you?" the presiding voice asked. Elena met its ancient gaze. "Then we will build that future ourselves," she said quietly. "And you may not like where you end up." The chamber fell into dead silence. Far away, human shipyards glowed brighter than ever. New fleets assembled, modular, adaptive, terrifyingly efficient. The galaxy was beginning to understand. Humanity was not rising. Humanity had been holding back. The Concorde was trembling now. Not visibly, of course. Most species could not see fear in others, but in the subtle way the galaxy moved. Fleets hesitated. Trade negotiations stalled. Alliances fractured. A small, insignificant species at the edge of known space had rewritten the rules of everything. On Earth, the United Terran Council convened in the Orbital Assembly over Earth's orbit. Holographic projections of the galaxy floated around them, lines of trade, fleets, and population centers blinking like stars in a storm. Admiral Lucas Chin tapped a section of the map where the Koth Dominion still seethed from their losses. "They think we are weak," he said. "They think we will back down if they push." Elena Vasquez, now Ambassador General, leaned forward. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned. "We've already shown them the truth," she said. "Now we decide how much truth to show." Minister Okoye frowned. "You mean escalation? Humanity is dangerous, yes, but a galactic war." Elena shook her head. "Not war. A demonstration. A calculated gambit. One that ensures respect, or survival." The room was silent. Even the generals who had seen countless crises paused to absorb her words. The target was simple. The Zarathi Collective, a species whose fleets were enormous but slow, whose communication was rigid, and whose overconfidence rivaled the Koths. The Zarathi had cornered minor species along the Orion expanse, taking resources and enslaving planets under the guise of protection. Humanity would act, not out of mercy but to teach a lesson. Human ships, small in number but advanced in stealth and AI coordination, infiltrated the Orion expanse undetected. Captain Rahman commanded the lead fleet aboard the Resolute 2. Sensors flared with activity. Thousands of Zarathi vessels patrolled. Every jump point was mined. Every warp lane monitored. "Sir," his tactical officer whispered. "They're ready. Any wrong move and we are annihilated." Rahman's eyes narrowed. "Then we make the right move." Elena's voice came over comms. "Remember, this isn't destruction. It's persuasion." The humans used subspace misdirection, splitting their presence across multiple sectors simultaneously. Every Zarathi fleet that tried to intercept found phantom targets, empty star systems, and false signals. Then came the strike. It was precise, swift, devastating. Human ships disabled primary communications, crippled engines, and targeted command centers. Not to kill, at least not entirely, but to incapacitate, to show mastery. In less than an hour, a fleet that would have overwhelmed a minor species was left drifting, powerless, helpless. When the Zarathi realized what had happened, a single human ship appeared in orbit above their capital world. A communications relay activated. The galaxy saw the message. "You may enslave or you may survive. The choice is yours." Back in the Concorde chamber, chaos erupted. "The humans have breached sovereign space without sanction." Threx hissed, claws trembling. "They have attacked our allies' enemies and left no bodies," Selm whispered. "It's impossible. Their tactics are inhuman." "They are predators," Kerardich said finally. "And they do not fight like predators. They fight like gods. Elena Vasquez appeared once more before the chamber. Her voice was soft, almost human, yet it carried a weight that shook the ancient species to their cores. "We are not here to conquer," she said. "We are here to survive, to thrive, and to ensure the galaxy learns that humanity cannot be ignored." The chamber fell silent. For the first time, centuries of species with psychic abilities, technological supremacy, and biological perfection had no answer. In the Orion expanse, Zarathi leaders gathered to respond. "You will face retribution," they hissed, their clawed hands shaking. A human diplomat replied via encrypted broadcast. "Retribution is unnecessary. Compliance is your only option. We have the patience to wait, but not forever." No fleets came. No armies retaliated. The message was clear. Humanity had taken a small corner of the galaxy and reshaped the rules overnight. Meanwhile, in Terran intelligence networks, analysts studied the Concord's fracturing alliances. "The Koth are furious," said analyst Mira Novak. "The Aurelian mind is indecisive. The Valari are considering internal coups. And the Zarathi, they are scared." Elena nodded. "Perfect. Fear is a tool. Use it wisely. Show restraint where they expect brutality. Strike where they feel safe. That is the human advantage." Her words were calm, almost academic, but every Terran present knew the truth. Humanity had become a force that no one could predict, control, or ignore. The first interstellar debate over humanity's actions took place months later. "The humans are outlaws." Threx roared in the Concord chamber. "They violate treaties. They destroy fleets." "They save lives," countered Selm. "Their actions are efficient, calculated, and terrifyingly intelligent." Karat hissed. "They are evolving faster than any species should." Elena, appearing via subspace projection, addressed the Concord directly. "We have no desire to fight unless provoked. We do not wish to rule, yet we will survive. And survival requires the galaxy to respect our place, even if you do not yet understand it." For the first time in centuries, the Concord was speechless. In the darkness of space, human shipyards accelerated production. Designs were modular, adaptive, capable of outmaneuvering any fleet in existence. Soldiers trained in strategies that combined instinct with technology, war with diplomacy. Every step humanity took was deliberate, every action measured to maximize impact without unnecessary loss. The galaxy had laughed at humans. Now it was trembling. And humanity had only begun. The galaxy whispered about humanity. Not openly, of course. Such rumors were dangerous. To speak of humans without caution risked scrutiny, or worse, retaliation. Yet every species in the Concord knew the same thing. Humanity was no longer a minor threat. They were unpredictable, cunning, and horrifyingly effective. On Earth, the United Terran Council convened once more in the Orbital Assembly, suspended over the Pacific. Star charts glowed like a web across the chamber, showing fleets, colonies, and resource nodes. Elena Vasquez leaned over the display, her face pale but determined. "The Concord will try something," she said quietly. "They will send observers, perhaps fleets, to test our limits. They believe intimidation will work." General Amina Rao shook her head. "They've underestimated us at every turn. What makes you think they won't escalate further?" Elena's eyes hardened. "Because escalation has a cost. And we are the species that thrives when the stakes are highest." She paused. "We need intelligence, deep, unavoidable intelligence. Every move they consider must be mirrored before it happens." The first test came within weeks. A Valari reconnaissance fleet appeared near the Perseus fringe, cloaked in subspace distortion, attempting to spy on human colonies. Lieutenant Mara Ionescu commanded a small Terran stealth squadron aboard the Phantom Blade. Sensors flickered as the Valari fleet moved. "They think we won't notice," Mara said. Her voice was steady. "Then let's make them notice," replied her officer, Lieutenant Kieran Voss. The squadron deployed subspace echo fields, generating dozens of phantom ships. Every sensor the Valari scanned returned dozens of targets. Panic spread across the Valari bridges. Commands collided. Fleets collided. A single human strike disabled the command core of their flagship, and the rest fled into chaos. The Valari returned to the Concord with a message burned into their system logs. "We see all. We wait for nothing." Meanwhile, in the Concord, panic rippled through ancient species. Archon Selm, the Aurelian mind, spoke in its deep, resonant hum. "They do not fear death, nor fleets, nor politics. They fear nothing we can understand." High Admiral Threx hissed, claws scraping at the council table. They are predators disguised as diplomats. And their intelligence, it grows exponentially. We cannot predict their next move. The presiding voice of the Concord finally spoke. Its voice echoed through the chamber. We have tolerated their rise. We have dismissed their strength. Perhaps we were wrong. We must consider containment. Elena Vasquez, monitoring through encrypted channels, smiled faintly. She had expected this. The first human countermeasure was subtle. Human agents infiltrated Concord administrative nodes, not to destroy, but to observe. Every treaty, every fleet movement, every vote of influence was monitored. Humans discovered fractures, disagreements, rivalries that had simmered for centuries but had never erupted into open conflict because of complacency. We can't fight the Concord head-on, Elena told the council. But we can leverage their weaknesses, divide them, confuse them, force them to react. Her plan was audacious. The Koth Dominion decided to act first, attempting a direct strike on a human colony near the Luton sector. A massive fleet of dreadnoughts and frigates jumped into the system under the cover of hyperspace storms. The humans were ready. Captain Rahman of the Resolute 2 watched the enemy ships appear, blinking like distant suns. Status? Elena asked over comms. All ships accounted for, Rahman replied. They're confident. They think they have us. Elena's eyes glinted. Good. Confidence makes mistakes. Initiate the trap. Human ships emerged from hidden orbits, deploying gravity well generators that pulled enemy ships into narrow corridors. The Koth ships could not maneuver freely, their enormous size becoming a liability. Then the humans struck, not with annihilation but with precision. Engines were disabled. Weapon arrays frozen. Command cores shorted. The Koth dreadnoughts drifted powerless. When the Concord dispatched mediators to investigate, they found 5 ships adrift, completely intact, no lives lost, with a simple message etched across the hull of the flagship. Your arrogance cost you control. Humanity is here. The galaxy began to realize the pattern. Humans did not fight like other species. They did not charge into battle expecting victory. They studied, adapted, and then struck at the exact point where the enemy was weakest. Even the Trelli ascendancy, allied with humanity, could not fully grasp it. We fight with cunning, Elena said to a group of human generals. They fight with tradition. One misstep, one assumption, and we win, not because we are stronger but because we are smarter. The Concord panicked. Emergency sessions convened, with representatives shouting over one another, accusing, blaming, and scheming. Humanity was no longer a Tier 6 species. Aurelian mind emissaries floated near the chamber. We have miscalculated their capacity for strategy. They learn faster than we can anticipate. Carrot H of the Valari hissed. Every alliance they touch strengthens them. Every battle they avoid strengthens them. They are an infection of intelligence. High Admiral Threx simply stared at the hollow map. We must contain them. We cannot let them continue to grow. Elena Vasquez's projection appeared before the Concord once more. Her words were calm but unwavering. Containment is impossible. Humanity will not be contained. You can observe us. You can judge us. But understand this, we are not a threat to the galaxy. We are the future of the galaxy. Silence fell. Not one being dared contradict her. In the shadows of human space, shipyards expanded. Fleets multiplied. Soldiers trained. Scientists experimented with adaptive AI systems that could predict alien behavior in real time. Humanity had learned the greatest secret of the galaxy, that strength alone does not rule. Intelligence, adaptability, and patience rule. The galaxy had underestimated them. Once again. And now, the Concord, the Koth, the Valari, the Aurelian mind, they were beginning to fear it. Because humanity was no longer hiding. They were ready. The Concord had begun to panic. Whispers of human power spread like wildfire across interstellar networks. Fleets paused mid-operations. Trade negotiations froze. Alliances wavered. Every species that once dismissed humanity now approached with caution, suspicion, or fear. But humanity did not act out of malice. They acted with precision. On Earth, the United Terran Council convened in the massive orbital assembly over the Indian Ocean. Star maps rotated slowly in midair, highlighting potential threats, contested sectors, and vulnerable fleets. Admiral Lucas Chen tapped the map at the Perseus fringe. They're moving too fast. The Koth, the Valari, even the Trelli, everyone is reacting to us. If we push too hard, it could spiral into a full-scale galactic war. Elena Vasquez looked at him steadily. We do not push blindly. We force them to recognize our presence, to respect our rules. That is different from war. That is strategy. General Amina Rao leaned forward. And if they refuse? Elena's eyes narrowed. Then we show them what humanity is capable of. We are patient, but we are relentless. The first stage of the plan targeted the Volari Dominion, a sleek, insectoid species that relied on speed, numbers, and coordination. Their fleets were vast but predictable. They believed in doctrine over creativity. Human intelligence analysts discovered a flaw. The Volari subspace relays were centralized and vulnerable. One well-placed strike could blind half their fleet. 3 Terran strike teams moved in secret. The operation was swift. Ghost ships slipped through Volari patrols. Subspace scramblers disrupted communications. Fleets collided with each other in confusion. The Volari flagship, a colossal war hive, drifted powerless as a single human ship hovered above, sending the message. Predictability is weakness. By the time the Volari recovered, several worlds had quietly negotiated for human protection, terrified of further unpredictability. In the Concord, the panic was palpable. The humans are teaching lessons, hissed KRH of the Volari. Lessons without bloodshed. And every lesson they teach strengthens them. Archon Selm floated silently. They are rewriting the rules of conflict. Every move is both action and statement. They are terrifying. High Admiral Threx, usually composed, slammed his claw on the council table. This cannot continue. They cannot be allowed to grow unchecked. The presiding voice finally spoke. Containment is impossible. Observation alone will not suffice. There, something new. Elena Vasquez, monitoring the session remotely, allowed herself a small smile. She had predicted their reactions. She had anticipated every attempt at containment. And she had prepared for it. Next, humanity turned its gaze to the Koth Dominion. After the humiliation in the Luton sector, the Koth had fortified their fleets and positioned dreadnoughts along key jump points. They expected retaliation, expected sabotage, but they did not expect ingenuity. Human engineers had reverse-engineered Koth propulsion, not to copy but to enhance. Fleets moved in patterns the Koth had never seen. Attack vectors defied every conventional tactic. In the Epsilon Eridani system, the Koth fleet prepared to strike a human mining colony. Captain Rahman commanded the Terran Defense Force aboard the Resolute 3. Enemy fleet detected, reported Lieutenant Voss. They're fast, heavily armed, and confident. Rahman's eyes gleamed. Good. Confidence is weakness. Initiate phase nets and deploy decoys. The Koth were lured into a trap. Gravity wells pulled their massive ships into tight corridors. Human strike pods hit key engines. Command cores were paralyzed by electromagnetic pulses. Within minutes, the fleet was immobilized. When Koth commanders requested reinforcements, they found their subspace channels jammed. A single human vessel hovered above the capital of their fleet cluster, transmitting a simple message. We do not fight to destroy. We fight to demonstrate. The galaxy was watching. For the first time, species that had ignored humanity for centuries now understood its nature. Humans were relentless, intelligent, and terrifyingly adaptive. They struck with precision and vanished without leaving a corpse. Every action was deliberate. Every move calculated to produce maximum effect with minimal loss. Even the Trelli Ascendancy, humanity's allies, were in awe. They are unlike anything we have ever seen, said the Trelli speaker. They fight without anger. They dominate without destruction. And they teach without cruelty. Elena Vasquez nodded. That is humanity. Survival is not just about power. It is about intellect, adaptability, and restraint. The Concord attempted to convene an emergency session. The humans cannot be allowed to continue, Threx roared. They are out of control. We must strike before they grow stronger. Strike us. Elena's voice projected across the chamber. You misunderstand. Humanity does not fear action, nor does it rely on threats. Every species you threaten, every fleet you move against us, you reveal your weakness. A heavy silence filled the chamber. For the first time, the most ancient species of the galaxy were speechless. They had underestimated humans. And every underestimate had been corrected. Back in Terran space, fleets were reinforced, colonies secured, and new technologies deployed. Scientists had developed adaptive AI systems capable of predicting alien behavior in real time. Soldiers trained in unconventional tactics. Humans were everywhere and nowhere, ghosts in space shaping the galaxy without being seen. Elena Vasquez stood in the command center of the Resolute 3, gazing at the galaxy. They will not stop, she said. Some will fear us, some will hate us, but every species will remember one thing: humanity does not yield. Her voice was calm, resolute, commanding. The galaxy had laughed at humanity. Now the galaxy was learning a harsh truth: to underestimate humanity was to invite defeat. The galaxy was changing. Slowly, imperceptibly, yet with unstoppable force. Fleets that once roamed with impunity now hesitated. Political negotiations ground to a halt. The Concorde, once so confident in its superiority, found itself reacting to human strategy instead of controlling it. And humanity was just beginning. On Earth, the United Terran Council convened in the orbital assembly above the Atlantic. Holographic maps displayed known fleets, hyperlane nodes, and vital worlds. Elena Vasquez, Ambassador General and Architect of Humanity's Rise, stood at the center, her face calm yet intense. The Concorde believes containment is possible, she said. They are wrong. We are not just a fleet. We are intelligence, adaptability, and resilience combined. Every species that moves against us exposes a weakness. We will use it. Admiral Lucas Chin leaned over the projection table. We have divided the galaxy against itself. Koth, Valari, and Aurelian factions are already in disagreement. The Concorde is hesitant to act. But if they unify... Elena's eyes narrowed. Then we ensure they cannot unify. Divide, distract, and dominate perception. Fear is a weapon more powerful than fleets. The first test of this philosophy came in the Necra Expanse, where the Aurelian mind had consolidated a powerful fleet, preparing to strike at human trade colonies. Captain Rahman commanded a Terran task force aboard the Resolute 4. Enemy fleet approaching. They are strong. Their psychic coordination is almost perfect. Elena's voice came over comms. Good. Confidence is predictable. Initiate phase echo. Deploy decoys. Make them believe we are weaker than we are. Within minutes, the human fleet vanished from all Aurelian sensors, replaced by dozens of phantom fleets appearing at impossible angles. Psychic probes overloaded, communications fractured, and the Aurelian command was thrown into confusion. By the time the fleet realized the deception, human ships had disabled subspace relays, immobilized engines, and transmitted a single message to the Aurelian mind. Predict and you will fail. The fleet withdrew. No ships destroyed. No casualties. Just a demonstration. In the Concorde chamber, the ancient species were in crisis. The humans are teaching lessons without firing a single shot, hissed Kararth of the Valari. Every fleet we move is paralyzed before we act. Archon Selm floated silently. They are not just learning, they are evolving. Every encounter changes their strategy faster than any species can comprehend. High Admiral Threx's claws scraped the table. Containment is impossible. Observation is futile. They are beyond understanding. The presiding voice of the Concorde spoke slowly. Then what is to be done? Elena's projection appeared, serene and unwavering. You cannot stop what you do not understand. Humanity does not rely on fleets or weapons alone. We rely on ingenuity, adaptation, and persistence. You may attempt aggression, but every attempt will teach us and weaken you. The next stage of the human plan was more subtle, but infinitely more devastating. Psychological and political warfare. Human diplomats infiltrated Concorde factions through encrypted channels, spreading misinformation, highlighting rivalries, and amplifying distrust. Koth commanders were misled into blaming the Valari for minor losses. Aurelian elders accused the Zarathi of plotting betrayals. The galaxy's most advanced species began fighting each other rather than humanity. Elena watched from her command center. Divide them. Confuse them. Force their hand. Humans do not conquer worlds by force. We conquer the perception of power. The Koth Dominion finally attempted a decisive strike. A massive fleet moved toward human-controlled sectors along the Perseus Fringe, seeking to eliminate colonies and intimidate the Terran Council. Captain Mara Ionescu commanded the human fleet aboard the Phantom Edge. Sensors detected enemy formations. The Koth were confident. Predictable. Dangerous but flawed. Sir, Lieutenant Voss said, they are overextending. Their formation is rigid. Engines at maximum burn, shields weak in certain vectors. Ramon's voice was calm. Then we strike the vectors they leave exposed. Not their ships, their arrogance. Within minutes, human ships disabled the Koth Vanguard, immobilized dreadnoughts, and forced the remainder into retreat. A single human vessel hovered over the Koth flagship, sending the unmistakable message. Your pride is your weakness. Learn or perish. The Concord panicked openly. Representatives accused each other of weakness. Fleets were recalled, withdrawn, and redeployed with hesitation. The galaxy was paralyzed, watching humanity move like a shadow through space, striking only where it mattered. In the shadows of Terran space, shipyards glowed brighter than ever. Fleets were modular, AI-driven, and adaptive. Soldiers trained in multidimensional tactics. Scientists worked on new propulsion systems capable of maneuvers no alien species had ever attempted. And still, humanity did not strike indiscriminately. Every engagement was deliberate. Every battle a message. Elena Vasquez addressed the United Terran Council one final time before the human fleets moved to the next phase of the campaign. They will test us again, she said. But they will fail. Every species we face underestimates us because they assume we are limited by fear, biology, or politics. We are limited only by imagination, and we have more imagination than any species alive. Fear and respect are tools. Intellect and adaptability are weapons. Humanity does not conquer by brute force. We conquer by being unstoppable. The council members rose in unanimous agreement. Every hand on the table symbolized readiness, resilience, and determination. The galaxy was trembling, the Concord was divided, and humanity was no longer a laughing matter. Humanity had transformed from a minor, underestimated species into the apex of strategy, adaptation, and intellect. And soon, the galaxy would learn the final truth. The galaxy was on the edge of transformation. Fleets moved cautiously, whispers of human capability spread across star systems, and even the Concord, ancient, arrogant, unchallenged, was in chaos. Humanity had rewritten the rules of survival, warfare, and diplomacy. The final act was about to begin. On Earth, the United Terran Council convened in the Orbital Assembly, suspended high above the Pacific. Elena Vasquez, Ambassador General and Architect of Humanity's Rise, stood at the center, projecting calm authority. Today, she said, we demonstrate the ultimate lesson. Not to destroy but to command respect. Not to conquer but to assert our place as equals, and perhaps, in time, as leaders in a galaxy that has never understood us. Admiral Lucas Chin traced the holographic projections of fleets and systems. The Concord will not allow this quietly. They will act. The Koth, the Valari, even the Aurelian mind, they will coordinate. Elena's eyes glinted. Then we give them a test they cannot ignore. One last demonstration. After this, they will understand that humanity cannot be underestimated. The target was clear, the Concord itself. Humanity did not intend to destroy it, only to demonstrate that every ancient species, every fleet, every law it held sacred was vulnerable to the ingenuity, adaptability, and foresight of humans. 3 Terran task forces moved into the shadows of the Concord, an uncharted system near the galactic core. Cloaked vessels slipped through subspace corridors, invisible to sensors, adaptive AI constantly predicting every possible response from the Concord fleets. Captain Mara Ionescu commanded the lead fleet aboard the Resolute 7. Sensors show Concord fleets moving to intercept. Predictions indicate they expect a frontal assault. Elena's voice was calm over comms. Then do something they cannot expect. Split, scatter, disrupt. Make them face uncertainty for the first time in millennia. Within moments, human ships phased through gravitational distortions, appearing simultaneously across multiple sectors. Concord fleets fired at shadows, striking nothing. Panic spread across ancient command centers. The first true confrontation came near the Aurelian Mind sector, where the galaxy's most sophisticated psychic coordination was deployed. The human fleet did not attack directly. Instead, they manipulated perception, causing Aurelian Command to believe human forces were both far larger and more dispersed than reality. Psychic probes overloaded, communication faltered, and fleets collided in confusion. A single human ship, appearing above the central Aurelian flagship, transmitted a message. We anticipate your every thought. Adapt or retreat. Humanity does not yield. The Aurelian fleet withdrew, unnerved and humiliated. Simultaneously, other human task forces targeted the Koth Dominion and Valari patrols, but not for destruction. Engines were disabled, weapon systems frozen, command relays scrambled. Ships drifted, intact but powerless. Every encounter was a demonstration, precision, restraint, and control. When the Concord convened an emergency council, their ancient halls were silent for the first time in millennia. They have achieved the impossible, hissed Carriage of the Valari. Every prediction fails. Every tactic is countered before it is used. Archon Selm whispered. They are evolution incarnate. Not superior only in strength but in intellect and strategy. Humanity is apex. High Admiral Threx clawed the table. We cannot fight them. We cannot negotiate. We can only watch as they rise. Elena Vasquez projected herself before the Concorde. Her calm human presence filled the chamber. You have underestimated us, she said. You have dismissed us. You have laughed at our limitations. Yet here we stand, not as destroyers, not as conquerors, but as the species that survived and adapted when all others failed to see beyond tradition. Pause. Every species in the chamber was silent. We do not demand dominance, she continued. We demand recognition, equality, respect, and the freedom to thrive as we choose. The galaxy may fear our methods, our intelligence, and our speed, but it cannot ignore humanity any longer. Outside the Concorde, human fleets withdrew quietly. No worlds were occupied. No lives were lost. Yet every species that observed them understood the truth. The humans had won not by firepower alone, but by mastery of perception, strategy, and adaptability. Back on Earth, Elena stood on the observation deck of the orbital assembly. Her voice was quiet but firm. They will remember us, she said. Not as a species to be feared or dismissed, but as one that defines its own destiny. Every species that doubted humanity has learned, the galaxy's laughter is over. Ships returned to orbit, fleets realigned, and human colonies thrived, protected and sovereign. The Concorde, fractured and hesitant, would never again treat humanity as insignificant. Months later, the galaxy began to change. Former adversaries sought alliances with humanity. Trade, technology exchange, and diplomacy flowed on terms set by intellect and foresight. The Concorde survived, but now as an observer, often cautious, sometimes fearful, always aware of the human presence at the galaxy's edge. Humanity had proven a truth older than stars. Survival is not only about strength. It is about resilience, cunning, and the courage to rise when others doubt you. The galaxy had laughed at humanity. It would never laugh again.